KM 560 random forest. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to look up the already file here for random forest. Okay, so this is also online under the modules. So we're going to use the package of tidyverse, random forest, and gmodels. With that, we are going to use the dataset affairs. Let's do a quick summary of the dataset affairs. We know that occupation is supposed to be a classification variable, but because it's 1 through 7, it's looked at as a numerical one. Children is classification, as well as gender. However, for random forest, it requires that all classification variables be factors. So, without further ado, we're going to be predicting cheater. And to predict cheater, we're going to create a data set called cheater. We're going to use the dataset affairs. Then we're going to create new variables. The variable cheater, which basically, if you've had more than 0 fares, we're classifying you as a cheater, and if not, a non-cheater. Our random variable, so we can split the data in training and validation. We have gender, that we're saying gender is equal to gender, but as a factor. Same thing with children, occupation, and the variable cheater. Because remember, we created the variable cheater as 0, 1, but now we're telling R that not only has 0 and 1s, but this 0 and 1s mean categories. And we're taking out the variable affairs. So if we do the summary on cheater, and let me make this bigger, we can see that we have our random variable, we have cheater, okay? This is how factors get summarized by counts. And same thing with occupation. We have now counts of it instead of the mean, the max, and so forth. Gender, we can see the count of women and men, and people without children and with children. We're splitting our data in 70-30. We've done this before. And this is all we need to create that model for random forest. We are telling it to predict cheater, use all the variables possible. It's a classification problem. Use the training data set and report the importance. We've created it. The summary of this object of the model is not going to be very useful for us. Okay, so I'm just running this just so you can see. However, and just like the classification and regression tree has a tree that we can see and interpret, we really don't have that with random forest. So I would call that as one of the limitations for random forest. Now, using the validation data set, here I am predicting the predicted cheaters. Okay? I'm using my object where I created my model, the validation data set, and I'm creating this new variable called predicted cheater. I'll do little summaries to see how it went, and without further ado, I'm going to see how well this did. So let's interpret these results. In interpreting these results, we are seeing that here are our actual cheaters in these rows. And, I'm sorry, actual non-cheaters here and actual cheaters here, predicted non-cheaters, predicted cheaters. So we were able to correctly classify 90.8% of the non-cheaters. We have falsely accused of cheating 9.2% of non-cheaters. We were able to correctly classify 9.8% of the cheaters, and we did not identify 90.2, I'm looking at this number over here, of the cheaters. And that's as far as I'd like to go, aside from the overall accuracy, which I can just basically sum up here. So this is 66.8% of the data was correctly classified as non-cheaters, and 2.6% of the data was correctly classified as non-cheaters. I'm sorry, as cheaters. So if we sum these two together, we get 68, 69.4. So 69.4% of the time this model is correct. And it's up to you to judge whether this is good or not, but it's good or not compared to what. And that leads us to the final project. So the final project, you will find it here on assignments, sorry. So let's see. I'm sorry. For some reason I don't see it here. Oh, here it is, final group project. Okay, due December 6th, and here you are. So we want you to evaluate the logistic regression, the CART, and the random forest models and determine which is the best. This referring to the 3 assignments using these models. Be sure to explain why you believe the model you selected as the best is in fact the best. So this should be a very brief presentation where you will be presenting, in essence, this table for all 3 models. So you should have 3 of these tables. One for the logistic regression, one for the CART, and one for the random forest. And I would like you guys to make, in your groups, an argument as to which is the best model. And for that, obviously, it's not using the data set affairs. It's what you used in your assignments, which is the HR data set predicting whether somebody is going to leave or not the company. So there's no really right answer, but as analyst or data scientist, you have created 3 models. You will tell the organization, I suggest that we use this model because, well, what is your argument? Is your argument because you're able to capture more of the people, in your case, that actually leave the company? Is it because you have less errors here? Or is it because you have less errors here? Or because you're more accurate here? Or is it a combination of these 4? What is it? So again, there's no right answer. I want you guys to think through an argument. That's all it is. So with that said, I will see you all after Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, the random forest is due, as well as you will be presenting. Not everybody from each group needs to be there. Not everybody from each group needs to present, but one person from each group should be there and should present. If for some reason no one can be there, but you could come in through Zoom, we'll do a Zoom meeting for you guys. Whatever it takes, but let's hear that argument. Anyway, again, I'll see you all after Thanksgiving.